Thanks for staying with us. So hair loss in both African men and women obviously is on the rise because front hair loss in women is become unbearable. That's why we're all wearing wigs. Join us on the show.
Minus me.
Name is my own reason. Can I have the minutes for a second to admit my own? Join us on the show on the prevention is the MD CEO Vinci Hair Clinic, Nigeria, Dr. Ayo Otubanjo. Welcome to the show, sir.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Hair loss. Some people say, oh, after I gave birth, I lost my hair. Some say, I naturally don't have hair.
Yes.
Others say, listen, there's nothing I can do about it. It happened maybe as a result of maybe excess usage of certain vitamins or medication. What causes hair loss? Is it hereditary? Is it genetic?
I mean, there's several factors that causes hair loss. I mean, you've got the genetic factors, you've got the medical factors, and then you've got the androgynous factors. So there are some genetic hair loss, and it affects both men and women, surprisingly.
Right.
For men, they typically get the genes that makes them predisposed to hair loss, either from the father's side or the mother's side, whereas women get theirs mainly from the mother's side. Possibly up to about 60% of men have the genetic form of hair loss, and that's why you see the typical U-shaped pattern on most men. Women have a slightly different pattern to the hair loss. It tends to happen in the middle bit, and the hair tends to thin out from the middle bit. So yes, so there are genetic factors to
My
hair
mother
loss.
has hair. My mother has beautiful hair, but I don't. And she was abusing it. You go to your father's side's hair.
So you know where it came
I have
from.
a brother that actually has beautiful hair.
Right.
So I really feel bad I don't have, is there any way I can manipulate genetics to ensure, or to grab some kind of, I don't know, is there any way I can manipulate
Help your
it
situation.
to help my children to ensure they have beautiful
I
hair?
think there's a difference between hair loss and lack of growth. I think people
Right,
conflate
okay,
the
we
two.
conflicted, yeah.
I mean, hair loss is when you actually lose your hair and you could go bald.
Right.
So you
Lack
started
of
off
growth.
with hair in the first place.
Precisely.
Exactly, yeah.
Lack of growth is perhaps you've been used to good, healthy hair growth. And then all of a sudden, maybe in the last few years, it hasn't quite grown that much.
Why does that happen?
That is some of the medical factors I talked about. And it's usually down to dietary factors as well. So what we tend to find is, some people, perhaps because they've changed their diet, or maybe there's an underlying medical condition that has been diagnosed, it's making the hair not grow as much as it used to.
Does destiny have anything to do with
What's
this?
destiny?
Let me explain. I have
That's a musician,
I've seen
isn't
people.
Yes, she is.
I've seen people who say that your hair gets to a certain length and it doesn't grow beyond that, and people want to extend the growth of the length of their hair.
Correct, yeah.
They do use all sorts of chemicals, organic, whatever it is that they use to ensure that they extend it, but it doesn't go beyond that. Does it have anything to do with your hair has been destined to stop at that?
I think you're partly right. I mean, we don't all have naturally long hair. I mean, in African hair, you could get somebody with a big afro and somebody that barely has any hair on their scalp. So that's, you call it destiny. I agree with
So
you.
those people that the hair doesn't grow, the hair, can they eat something or drink something that will
Extend the
make
length?
them?
Well, I mean, if
Make
you've
the hair
previously, if you've had good hair growth, I mean, for instance, you've had long, luscious hair, and then perhaps in the last few years, it's not quite the same, then something's happened in the intervening period, and that is where perhaps, we start looking into supplements, to help you to go back to where you used to be.
So you're saying, for example, a woman who it was after childbirth, she lost her hair. There's something that can be done for that sort of person.
This is a very interesting question because a lot of women say, oh, since I've given birth, I've lost my hair. Well, actually, no.
Oh, okay.
What happens is when you're pregnant,
hair
your
grows.
estrogen level
Increases.
is elevated. And that creates a more natural hair growth. I mean, you get a lot more hair growth than you would normally get.
It happened to
Now,
me.
after birth, your estrogen level goes down.
So you should take
You're
estrogen pills.
losing what you don't really should have. It's only pregnancy that's giving you that.
Was borrowed.
It was borrowed,
It happened to me. My hair grew. I was like, wow. And then all of a sudden,
The hair
after
left.
the hair starts falling out. I was like, what happened?
So can you take estrogen pills to
pills
get your hair back?
Well, I mean, you go into different
Different.
complications. And
Okay, let's talk about men for a second, because a lot of men have that insecurity towards their hair, you know. In fact, they start shaving it off. Because when I see a bald man, automatically
Don't get hair.
doesn't have hair. That's why I shave the hair. So, but how does a man control that hair loss, the issue of hair loss that happens naturally? Okay. A lot of men feel insecure the moment they start losing hair. Okay. Those kind of people, how do they address this issue? Okay,
I mean, let me use my story.
Please.
I mean, genetically, it runs my family. So my late father was bald, and my elder brothers also bald. So I knew at some stage I was bound to start going bald. Thankfully, I work in industry, so I know what to do. But I've always had, you know, a kind of skin, you know, look. You know, I think it suits me a lot better than hair. So yes, I'm bald, but I mean, I've had this technique we call scalp pigmentation to make me look like I'm not bald. I just happen to have a shaved head. So you can't tell, you know. But yes, I mean, it does affect confidence.
So that's artificial?
Yeah.
It is like pigmentation to make it look as if you have hair.
So yours looks like really natural.
Yeah,
because usually
natural.
I would see that on TV or social media, and from looking at that, it looks like it may look a bit unnatural, that you'll be able to tell, but I can't tell with yours.
That's exactly what we do.
Yeah, because when you walked in and they said, oh, you are the hair doctor, and I looked at your hair and I was like, and then, because I know that when they're bald, it's really actually very white.
So you can help men.
Of course.
To have this.
Of course.
Wow,
you know, we do help men. I mean, it depends on the extent of the baldness. So if you've gone totally bald, the pigmentation is naturally your option, you know, because it will give you that hairline that would have disappeared with baldness.
But can you help men grow hair?
Of course, you know, we've been doing that in Lagos 5 years now. We do hair transplants.
So you can actually have an afro.
How expensive?
That hair transplant is painful.
Have you done it? It's not.
I've watched it. How can I have done it? I've watched it.
How do you know it's painful?
I've seen it.
Oga, come. Can you give me hair?
Of course we can.
For real?
Yes.
This hair transplant, does it mean that, is it like planting a hair that would grow, or just put a certain length and then it will just be that?
No. What we're doing, I mean, hair transplant is a misnomer, actually. What we're transplanting are follicles. They're the roots of your hair. You don't see them. It's the hair shaft that we see. So when we do hair transplants, what we're doing is we're taking donor follicles from one part of your scalp, which is usually at the back, and then preparing it surgically to then implant them where we need them.
So your hair will not start growing.
Will start growing, just like a normal hair growth.
Will it grow like longer than the old hair?
If you get normal, you know, it will grow just as normal as your hair used to go. Yeah.
Wait. Let me solve my problem here. So, I have locks.
Right.
If I shave up my locks today, and I come to you,
do you need to shave it off?
I can cut off the locks.
You don't really. You don't need to shave. I mean, we only need to shave the area that we're going to take.
Because I don't have hair in front. My front hair, I mean, a lot of women complain about front hair.
Of course.
That hairline issue is my major problem. Can you solve that problem?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can. And we've solved a lot of women's problems. A lot of the fringes.
But can you help me tell them the reason for that loss in the front? Is
very
it
good question. Very,
that they are doing that?
Precisely.
It's genetic.
No, it's not genetic.
It's not genetic.
And
it's a very good question. It's a very good question. I mean, typically, a lot of the loss of edges, we call it tractional alopecia, and it's usually caused, you know, by the tight braiding. You know, usually, not entirely, but usually by the,
tight braiding,
not
wigging.
I said braiding.
That's my problem.
She said braiding. So, I mean, that is what causes most of the frontal hair loss that we see in African women. It does affect, white women as well.
Let me ask my own personal question. I have a long forehead. So my own went really inside, but wherever the hair, stops. Wherever the hair started, it starts well. Okay. Is there any way I can change the shape, like have more hair where my forehead is?
Bring your hairline forward.
We've actually had a patient that's asked us to do that, and we've done it.
And whoa! I'm booking a date.
We can basically recreate your hairline.
New hairline.
For real?
Yeah.
That's my problem.
Beautiful. Yeah. Darling, we are booking an appointment.
White? My white hair black.
You're not losing. I mean, it's the pigmentation of the hair that turns it white or grey. I mean, it's not hair loss. I mean,
I'm not losing my hair.
Just by dye.
It's the color that I'm losing.
So how long does a process like this take?
Well, a hair transplant typically takes a whole day. I mean, when I mean the whole day, it takes about 8 hours.
What?
Yeah.
No, I mean, now, how long does it take after transplant?
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, a lot of people think, once you've done a transplant, your hair start growing into an afro within a week. No, it doesn't work like that. I mean, hair grows at the rate of ½ an inch a month. You could imagine what half an inch looks like.
Yeah, very
so
tiny.
before you start noticing
take
those
years.
follicles grow new hair shafts, it's going to be taking about 3 months before you start seeing that.
So that means that
and most people don't get the full effect
Once
of
you
the
do a
transplant
transplant, can you still use relaxers on your hair?
I wanted to go there.
Well, I mean, if relaxers has been the cause of your hair loss in the first place, then
back.
you don't want to go back there. Because some people do have an adverse reaction.
Let's go.
to
I mean, obviously, you seem like someone that's schooled abroad and who practiced abroad. Could you tell us a bit about your background? Let's also even be sure that you're not a quack doctor. Because, you obviously moved back
I'm a
home.
specialist hair restoration medical person. I work in the UK.
Okay.
I'm part of the international Vinci group, so
Okay.
it's a global medical group. And we set up a clinic in Nigeria about 5 years ago. So I was actually brought here because of my background, to head that up. Yeah.
So you're in Nigeria now?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
How would you say?
Expensive is this procedure?
Don't tell us on television.
Yeah.
please.
So how would you
Is
say?
it, can a
Is it
common
affordable?
man afford
Average.
it?
Well,
Are you common or are you uncommon?
Yeah, all of
it's certainly not within the reach of the ordinary Nigerian. Let me put it that way, because
But they can afford it.
No.
Yeah, so
Just
what would
blame
you
it.
say?
They have
What would
rich
you say
husbands.
how would you say Nigerian men are taking this? Do you have a lot of Nigerian men come
of course,
for treatments
of
like
course.
this?
I mean, you've got to realize in this age of Instagram, image is everything. So everybody wants to look their best. Nobody wants to,
So you're tapping into our ego. Yes.
you can say
Ask you
that.
this question.
Yeah.
Is hair growth, what kind of food, if I don't want to do all this, there should be food I can eat to make my hair grow.
Well, there isn't.
What are the foods that I can actually eat to make my hair grow?
It's not so much the kind of food that you have to eat. I think it's just basically the nutrients that's going into your bloodstream. So and sometimes those nutrients don't get broken down in the right quantities, and that's why you need supplements. So there isn't a specific food. The only thing is, I would say, look, get a good balanced diet. That's number one. And then if there's still an issue, then perhaps you need
Now,
supplements.
let me ask
You're
you.
saying those, you're saying those really expensive supplements for hair and nails and actually work?
Well, it depends
Because we
on
hear
what they
sometimes
are.
that they're just for marketing gimmicks.
I've seen a product called Biotin being advertised as a
Yes.
cure for hair loss, and no, biotin is just one tiny element in a series of vitamins A, B, C, D, iron, zinc. I mean, there's so many, so just buying biotin thinking, wow, that's the cure. Yeah, it's a
Okay,
marketing
so
gimmick.
the issue of using vitamins, because somebody told me that if you use vitamins for your hair, the hair that will be growing from even down south, everywhere, there'll be hair all over the place. So you have hair here, you have in the north, east, south, everywhere.
Mariah is in a
Is that
mysterious
happening?
No, I've never come across that now.
What about
I'm not communicating, but I've communicated to her.
I don't know, because my hair doesn't grow under my arms anymore for like 8 years now. I've not had hair under my arms. So I haven't
happy.
had, I'm happy. I'm happy.
Why?
But
How?
I'm
Is that
asking.
normal?
Could it be menopause? It could be.
I'm sure it's to do
The
with
older
menopause.
women
That's what I'm asking.
we get, right, the less we grow hair.
I've not had to shave
There
at
are
all.
hormonal
no.
factors that, obviously mean the older you get, and when you get close to menopause, then you start seeing some changes.
We have to wrap up. Let's just
Yes.
jump in.
Do we have any connection with psychological factors? Because sometimes people have hair, and because of the certain stresses they go through, they begin to lose it. Is there anything you can do?
Yeah, there's a condition called trichotillomania.
Okay.
Basically, it just means the pulling of the hair. And it usually affects people who are anxious. When you're going through a period of anxiety, you start pulling your hair. I mean, so that is psychological.
Is there any way it can be treated?
Well, obviously, I would say therapy first.
To deal with the
to deal with
anxiety.
that anxiety, because once that is gone,
My
then,
daughter naturally pulls out her. I mean, she just
she's
pulls
upset.
it out.
Yeah.
No, not when she's upset, just normally. That's how she wells with time. I'm trying to stop that habit. If she continues like that, would have that issue of hair loss growing up, or?
Well, if she keeps pulling her hair, yes. I mean, it will damage the follicles eventually. I think you need to find out why she's anxious.
She's doing that, yeah.
Maybe exam pressures or...
Oh, right.
There's some people that have dreadlocks, very, very long dreadlocks, and then the hair, one strand will pull out, another place becomes bald. Is there a way to repair that kind of...
That spot.
Bald patches.
Bald patches. I mean, this is where hair transplants comes in, because yes, it can be repaired.
Unfortunately, that's all we can take. But thank you so much. So
You're
now
welcome.
that we know that those of us that
We
have
have
thin
solution.
hairlines, we have hope.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
all right, that's all we can take.
cannot
We'll
grow
see.
Brazilian hair
Tomorrow
from our
is
head.
our live audience show. Please don't miss that show. See you there. Take care. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye. bye.